Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nedling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Nedling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business or your life to the next level. And today I have Aneta Ardelian Kuzma as my guest. And let me tell you about Aneta. She is the CEO and founder of Ardelian Kuzma Group. Her passion is helping others get unstuck, awaken to their potential and purpose, dream big, and take aligned action so that they can start living the width of their lives. Aneta is a well-being coach and consultant who works with high-achieving professionals and entrepreneurs to overcome burnout, redefine success, and create sustainable routines to achieve optimal health and create lives of purpose, passion, and peace. After 25 years in the corporate world, Aneta found herself burned out and dissatisfied. She embarked on her own self-discovery journey and then founded her coaching and consulting business to help others live the width, not just the length of their lives. In addition to her MBA from Weatherhead School of Management, Aneta is a certified health coach, life and executive coach, certified ACC coach with the International Coaching Federation, yoga and meditation teacher, breathwork facilitator, host of transformation retreats, and host of the Live the Life. Let's start that again to get it right. Host of Live the Width of Your Life podcast. Today's interview is going to be all about why everything you've heard about balance is wrong. Please join me in welcoming Aneta Ardelian Kuzma. Aneta, so welcome. So happy to have you here today.
Vicki, I'm so delighted to be here with you today. Thank you.
So we always start out with an easy question for you, and that is just to tell the audience, where do you live? Where do you call home?
Cleveland, Ohio. We're actually having the most beautiful spring that we've had in a very long time. Everything is green and sunny and lush right now, which is not always the case here in Cleveland.
Yes. See, I'm a Pittsburgh girl, so I know about Cleveland. Kind of the same way. We wait for July so that the sun shines and the warm weather comes.
Yeah.
Before September when it all goes away. So let's get into this, why we should really understand that everything that we know about balance is wrong. So let's talk about, how do we align our daily choices to our dreams and our goals that will create a balance?
Yeah, it's such a great question, right? And when I was studying the topic of balance, because so often I felt like my own life was out of balance, especially when I was in the corporate world and raising a family and, just different stages of life. I found a recent study from Gallup that said that 2 billion people in the world, it was a global study, feel like their life is out of balance. It's a lot of people across many countries and gender. And so I was really curious to see, what is it that we are searching for? And through all the coaching that I've done and through the personal experiences I've witnessed, I found that the folks who are able to pause and to decide, what does this ideal version of my life look like? What are the most important things to me? What are the things that matter? Family, health, personal growth, maybe travel, maybe it is work. What are those things that are most important to me as the individual? When we identify that, and then we actually place all of those priorities into our calendar, into our daily choices, into the year as we look at all the things that we want to do and to experience, we're then able to find the balance. What we typically do is that we say, okay, I have all these work obligations, or I might have some other obligations in maybe 2 areas of life, and I'm going to do my best to get all those done. And we never complete everything
Yeah.
that's on the list. And then I will leave the scraps for myself. And if I get to it, maybe then I'll rest, or I'll work out, or I'll get to read a book, or I might be able to go see a friend, or maybe I'll get to go for a walk today. And that's what we have conditioned ourselves to do. And guess what? Over time, if we don't place ourselves in our needs and the things that are most important, we don't feel the joy every day. We don't necessarily feel the gratitude. We don't feel healthy, and we probably aren't. And then we can start to get a little resentful and also enter the stages of burnout if we aren't careful. So that's what I've noticed and I've identified. And so with my clients, I say, start with what's important first, and then see, how do I start to infuse this and integrate these things into my life? And then what do I need to start saying no to? Are there some boundaries I need to set because I don't have them? And that's how we start to find, balance. And I still use air quotes because I think that, the word is just, it's a word that
That's
triggers
right.
people sometimes. But I think that you can start to live a life with more purpose and more passion and more joy, and even just a sense of greater feeling of well-being.
So I tend to use, instead of balance, flow, because I think balance makes you think of the scale, and
Yes.
even the teeter-totter, type of thing, where
Yes.
you're either up or you're down, or up or down. Anyway,
Yes.
and it's never achievable. It's really setting yourself up for failure,
Yeah.
because it's unrealistic. But flow means, how is my day going to go? That's knowing that it may have a wind blow in and things change a little bit, but how do you react to that? And really set the realistic things. As a person in her 60s, I see so many people that keep on putting off all of the things for
Yeah.
self-care and to do for someday. And I have a little thing in front of me that says someday is today, because those
Yeah.
people now in their 60s and 70s, my friends, relatives, and things, are not living their best lives because of what they didn't do when they were in
Yeah.
their 20s and 30s and 40s, when they thought they were in, just indestructible, if you will.
It's so true, right? Someday syndrome, I think I've heard that. And that's why it's so important to really place those things on the calendar now. My college girlfriends and I started a long time ago, where we would just say, every year we're going to show up for a trip. It's going to be in
Yeah.
October. It's like the same weekend typically. So put it on, block the time. So Thursday through Sunday, don't schedule any meetings those days, really try to make it work. And of course, things come up, but I get so excited knowing that in October, we're going to see each other. And you could start to do this with other areas of life too. And when you're proactive that way, you'll make sure that you hold yourself accountable and you show up in that way. And so it's just a matter of choosing to do those things first and making sure that it's available. Like, I started making sure I had time for my walks every morning. So I try to delay my first meeting as much as possible. And I know some people feel like they don't have the ability to do that, but I think we need to start to challenge it, because I don't think that the way that we currently are living, many of us, is really sustainable.
Yeah, very true. So when we talk about putting things on the calendar and doing what we need to get done, and saying no to those things that are not a have to do, need to do, let's talk a little bit about finding purpose and learning to dream again. Both of us have been in the corporate world, and I always found it fascinating that when you enter the corporate world, uh, dreaming is sort of downplayed, and yet they want you to be innovative, creative, and find that next best product or process or system. And yet you just told me that I can't dream and think of the things that may be possible, maybe not. So
Yeah.
let's talk a lot about how important finding purpose and being able to dream again is.
Yeah, it's such a great point, Vicki. I think purpose, especially when you think about purpose with a big P, like my
Mhm.
one purpose in life, I think that can get very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it really scares people and they think, okay, well, I don't have enough time to figure that out right now. But I always say to clients and even for myself as I was starting to design this new life that I live, okay, what if there are a bunch of little P's? What are the little purposes in life that are really important? And that's much more manageable. And we could
Mhm.
start to say, wow, well, I think one of my purposes is to explore new cultures and food and travel. That could be something that's meaningful. Or I think my purpose is to be a really good mom. And so that means spending time with my kids and be a good partner. And so you start to like create smaller purposes in life, and they could be tied to your values. They identify your passions. Maybe one of them is always picking up something new, challenging. It could be like a hobby, pushing out of your
Mhm.
comfort zone that way. And so being able to do that is so important. One of the things that I've done for myself, and I always encourage my clients to do, is I have like a dreams log, and it's just like it's like a binder notebook. And one side is dreams, and the other side, in that dreams, it's dreams like wishes and things you want to
Mhm.
experience. And the other is gratitude. And I just write in it constantly. And I used to be really good at being in there every day, but now I'm like every week I still feel pretty good. It's just listing something new. And it could be like hiking Machu Picchu to making sure that I get a facial every month, to
Mhm.
going for a daily walk, to having a date night with my husband every week or whatever it is. It's just allowing yourself in the most effortless, easy way to start to dream again. And for me, I love to do it outside where I hear the birds chirping, and especially this time of year, it's just so beautiful to do it, or when it's cold out by a fire. It's creating a ritual around some of these things that makes it feel not like it's an effort, but it's something you look forward to doing.
Mhm.
And I think when we start to do that, you do start to bring that same creativity and openness and innovation to work and to every circumstance, because you start to use a part of your brain that maybe we aren't used to using. And it allows you to dream and to think and be strategic and creative, and not just so action oriented all the time. The action comes from the inspiration. So that's what I think is just so beautiful and important. And when we take like the pressure of figuring out one thing that we're supposed to be doing, and we allow ourselves to think about all the things we want to do without worrying about how is it going to happen or is it going to happen. I may never make it to Japan, but I still want to document that I would love to do it, because the chances are, if it's written down, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah. And I really think, for me, it really ties into mindfulness and positivity and things. As a project manager for all those years, I had huge, large projects. And when I started, it was like you had that huge, audacious, giant goal at the
Yes.
end, and it was overwhelming for the team. But if you then, as a project manager, you break it down into little phases and little parts, and
Yeah.
and so what I coach about is that celebrating the small wins. Because even as entrepreneurs, we're overwhelmed by, oh my gosh, I see that person is making $1 million, and I just have to get to $1 million. Well, no, well,
Right.
let's work to get to $100. Let's
Right.
work to celebrate the small wins. And
Yeah.
again, as you said, tie it to gratitude when you do,
Mm.
celebrate when you do, because then that helps the positive mindfulness that you need to be able to tackle the challenges that you will have. You will have, and look at those challenges as really opportunities. So they could be a win. Okay, I had this huge problem and I, struggled through it, but I worked through it and I got to the other side rather than being negative about, oh my God, I have this terrible day, this terrible problem. So I just really embrace what you say about the having the binder or the spiral notebook about the things that you are dreaming for and the actual gratitude for those things that you have.
Yeah, I agree with you, Vicky. The celebrating even the smallest wins is so important. And some days I celebrate resting, which was never
Yes.
something that I was like, I had two speeds, sleep or really fast. I didn't have a speed in between. And now it's like, I listened to my body today and I just went and read for half an hour, or I really enjoyed my lunch and, spent some time just sitting and not doing anything. I think we have to learn to celebrate even those things sometimes that are counter in society or what is productive.
And it really ties to my next question, was really developing self-care practices and routines that help you get through those days. And you can't say, I'm not going to be stressed. You can't say
Right.
that over time, especially if you're doing something that's pushing you outside of your comfort zone, that you may get burned out.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I say that the routines that are best for you are the routines that you're more likely to do and that you look forward to. And so, for me, meditation and breathing and journaling in the mornings is really critical. The journaling, especially morning pages, allows me to get all the crud out that is in my mind, all the overactive thoughts, things that I may be bringing into the day, and just allow it to get into a state of flow, allowing all those things to come out. And then the meditation and breathing is really energetically what I need to allow my body, my mind, my spirit to just connect, to align to the very present moment, to be more present and mindful. And so I do encourage folks to meditate, to breathe if they can, to journal. I think those are beautiful practices. Gratitude is another practice you said that is really important. But I want people to do the things that work for them, start to incorporate them in small little pieces, celebrate when those become habits, and then continue to add on to it. I think we set ourselves up for success if we try to change everything and overhaul our systems. It's too hard. And then we don't, we give up. It's just like, this isn't working for me. I also think it's important to say, when is your greatest energy? If someone is a night owl and I tell them to wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. to meditate, it's not going to work. They need their sleep. And so, we talk about, when energetically would this feel better for you? What does your day look like? When do you find your natural circadian rhythms? What are those? And so really working to identify and to know, people know themselves best. So it's important to be able to do that. And even if you only have 5 minutes, even if it's 5 minutes spread across the day, I will say you can do some deep breaths. You can do a couple jumping jacks. You can go outside, and just allow yourself to see the sun before 10 a.m. They're very small things that we can do. Even for 1 minute, that you can celebrate and you still say, I showed up for myself today. There wasn't much time, but I still intentionally showed up for myself.
So you talked about meditation and yoga and breath work. Not everybody does that. Not everybody thinks that they can do that. And I know that you share a little bit about that, but talk about doing even those small moments of it, how that really helps to transform you.
Yeah. So I think most of us have heard about the nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system, which is the stress nervous system, the fight or flight or freeze or fawn, and then the parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest. We are meant to stay in the rest and digest, the parasympathetic nervous system, and only dip into the sympathetic when we needed to for extra energy, or if we needed adrenaline, or we needed some stress hormones to kind of get us unstuck. And unfortunately, in modern society, many of us, through various reasons, are in the sympathetic all day long. And when we have cortisol pumping through our system, cortisol actually stays in your system for 24 hours. And feel good hormones, serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, when they're released, they only stay in your system for 4 hours. So we need to do more of the things that release the feel good hormones to counteract the cortisol that stays in your system all day long. So things like meditation, just sitting with yourself, following your breath, acknowledging thoughts without judgment, allowing them to just go away. 10, 12 minutes of meditation has wonderful benefits. And within a short amount of time, a couple of weeks, you can tell on brain scans that you can actually build new neural pathways. Breathwork is one of the fastest ways to regulate your nervous system. Cold plunging is another way. Meditation, those are the three that actually can reactivate. 3 deep breaths, intentional breaths, can actually move you from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic. A wonderful thing to do when you're driving. You can do it right before a meeting. You can do it at lunchtime. You can do it anywhere. It doesn't have to be breathing for half an hour. You can just do a few every hour and just allow yourself to just feel yourself become more grounded and relaxed. So these are just small things that we can do and incorporate them into our day. They're free, they're available, and guess what? Your breath is with you cradle to grave. It is with you more than anything or anyone else in your life.
So I had 2 children, and I didn't use drugs for either one of those births because I started in my pregnancy doing yoga and the hatha yoga, which really promotes the breath work. And throughout, I'm so grateful that I did that because 1, I got through my births without having to use drugs, but 2, I all through my life in moments of stress, and I have used that and taught it to my kids, and now my mom who's ill, that's a way for her to get out of her episodes that she has. And I think people forget about that, even as I teach public speaking, and you can see that the people are starting to tense up and worry. And it's like, just take a breath. Smile as you do it if you're on stage, but it just makes a difference in calming you down. It's just such a wonderful gift that God gave us. Just take a breath.
So true. I mean, what a wonderful testament for you being able to use it at all those important stages of life, but it is so impactful. I use it when I get very deep massages, and I will breathe so deeply to allow my practitioner to kind of work through anything. And my Aura ring, which I use to track sleep, and it tracks everything. Yes, you've got one too. It thinks that I'm in like asleep because my heart rate drops so low when I am doing that. And it's just amazing that it's the only automatic and also controlled system within our body. It's just so powerful.
It is truly powerful. So one of the things that you talk about is the courage muscle to break through your comfort zone. So I wanted to cover that, talk about that courage muscle.
Yeah. It's so amazing when I look at little kids. When I first started my business, I was fearful. Even after I made the decision that I was leaving, I was going to start something new, I was still scared. And I did it anyway. And I just told myself, you're just going to do a little bit more every day and you'll figure it out. And, but then I looked at like young children, and they learn everything at such a young age. How many times do kids fall before they learn to stand up? How many times do they struggle trying to like roll over, to learn to ride a bike, to count, to do all of those things? We were those kids. I mean, we were fearless in so many ways. Our parents had to tape everything, and like we were so curious, right? And so I thought about that, and I'm like, we were born courageous. There's actually, I think, only two fears that we're born with. One is like falling, and the other one is loud noises. The other ones we learn during our lifetime. And so for me, it was this moment of going, if I learned to be scared in life, I can also unlearn, and I can learn to be courageous. And I'm not going to, it doesn't mean that I'm going to do the scariest things in order to overcome that. I don't feel an urge to jump out of an airplane, but I can be vulnerable and maybe record my first video for social media, or do my first post as a small business owner, right? Or all of these things that no one else really cares about. In our own mind, we created some story
Oh
about it,
yeah.
but right, no one else cares. They're like, if they're interested, they'll watch it. If they're not, they just scroll past it. They might
Mm.
not even see it. But those are the little things where I said, I'm going to celebrate every single day the courage that it took to do something that for me seemed scary. And then tomorrow I'm going to do it again and do something else. And that's how I think we build our courage muscle. You just identified the smallest little thing that you can do. And then the next day, you do a little bit more. You celebrate it and you do a little bit more. And over time, suddenly the things that were so frightening really aren't anymore, right? It's like if you're
Yeah.
scared to go on a roller coaster, you come down and then, you're like, oh, I want to do that again. And so I think the same thing with other things that we choose to do in our personal or professional lives.
And I love how it all ties together. You know, we talked about the wins and the gratitude, and I always coach that your confidence really comes from being courageous. You
Yeah.
know, knowing, and I love that you mentioned that maybe nobody sees what you did, but
Yeah.
do it as if the world is watching,
Yeah.
but know that it doesn't matter because it's
Mm-hmm.
you being you. Be authentic, be vulnerable. Uh, I resonate more with people that try it and fail, but
Yeah.
still try it again. You know, that is how it is. And you really do, whenever you have that courage and that understanding. I always say, just act like a 4-year-old. Oh my God, just be that 4-year-old. Let that
Yes.
4-year-old out. I have a 5-year-old grandson who's actually, we're celebrating his birthday today. And
Oh, happy birthday.
today is actually my youngest daughter's birthday. So my grandson is in 2 days. But the two of them, 2 days apart, years apart, but 2 days in their birthdays are like the same person. They both,
Mm,
as young ones, have just no worry about anything, that they try anything. The both of them had older siblings. They think that they're 8, they thought that they were 8 or 9 or whatever. And it was so interesting to see all that. What I learned, how I sheltered my youngest, now with my grandson, I like fight back,
mm,
trying to keep them from falling or hurting or doing something, because I don't want them to lose that courage to try something new.
yeah,
Because
that's right.
now the people that I work with are people that are afraid to try something new, afraid to go on video, afraid to do something that's unknown, for
Hmm.
fear of what might happen. But think about what good might happen
Oh,
instead.
yeah. Yeah. What if is amazing and
Awesome.
powerful.
Yes. What
And
if?
also, we give other people permission to do the same thing. We can inspire someone else to say, I maybe I can do that, or maybe I can try
Yes.
something a little bit scary. And I do think that's how we all start to push a little bit out of these comfort zones, these self-imposed limitations that maybe we've created.
Yeah. And, that 4-year-old walks into a room like they own the place. Why
Yeah,
shouldn't you? Why
right.
don't you walk into a room like you own the place? And not being egotistical or anything, but just so confident. Like somebody, when you walk in the room, people look at you and want to be you, and they don't know
Yeah,
why. And it's that
right.
confidence. Uh,
Hmm.
So I love, and we only have a few minutes, but I just want to touch on feminine versus masculine. And that is a
Mm,
balance. And I think sometimes as women, we forget that the masculine energy is okay. So talk a little bit about the feminine and masculine energy and trying to have somewhat of a balance of that.
Yeah, I do think that the balance is important. It's the yin yang. And what I found is that for many of us women who were in a corporate setting, we very much adopted a masculine
Yes.
energy. And sometimes it was a healthy, and sometimes it was very distorted masculine. When you are in a burnout state, you're a very distorted masculine, which is all about drive, ambition, go, go, go.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in the distorted feminine, it's the very much the victim. You're stuck. You're not
Mm-hmm.
taking
Just
any
shrink.
action. You just shrink. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so finding the beautiful balance that we all have within ourselves of the healthy masculine, which is being goal oriented, having ambition, having some fire within, knowing how to organize yourself, aligning those choices daily to the things that are important. And the feminine, which is the dreaming, which is the gratitude, which is the creativity, the inspiration, the flow that we all want to get in. And I think that that really is what we're each seeking to do, is to find that balance every day, whatever it looks like, between the feminine and the masculine. And it's going to look a little bit different for each of us. We're all different, but just knowing that it's okay for both of those two things to exist within you, and for
Mm-hmm.
you to allow yourself to spend more time in one versus the other sometimes because you need to. That's the beauty, you know? So when I know that I need more creativity or I need to be more inspired, I'll go out in nature, I'll go to more yoga classes, I'll spend more time in quiet reflection. And from spending time in that feminine, I then get ideas or
Mm-hmm.
and this passion and fire within me. Then I spend time in the masculine taking action and really acting on it. But that's the flow, that's the beauty of combining the two together. And if you find yourself in one of the distorted masculine or feminine, I'd say, what are the routines that are going to help bring you back, and what do you need more of, depending on, you know, where
Yeah,
you're spending your time.
absolutely. Well, we could spend a lot longer talking about
Yeah.
all this. I definitely will have you back. It's time now for me to share my slide that has the contact information so that you can reach out and talk with Aneta and try to get some balance, in air quotes, in your life. So the website is anetakuzma.com. That's ANETAKUZMA.com. For Instagram, Ardelian Kuzma, that's ARDELIAN, so Ardelian Kuzma. And LinkedIn is her name, full spelled out, just as you see it on the screen here. YouTube is at Ardelian Kuzma. Her podcast, again, as we mentioned earlier, is Live the Width of Your Life. Again, that podcast is Live the Width of Your Life. I'm going to turn it over to Aneta. She can talk to you about what her call to action is for us today, and also what you can find on her website and those social media pages. So Aneta, go ahead and chat with us for a little bit about that.
Sure. Thanks, Vicki. Yeah, my call to action, I would love for everyone in your audience to experience a breathwork session. So every Thursday at noon, I facilitate a 30-minute breathwork session. It is complimentary to you. It is free. You just need to register and share a little bit of information about you. And beginners or even seasoned breathwork participants are able to join. And we really just start with some grounding, setting an intention, breathing through at least maybe one or two breath patterns that I will teach you and guide you. Come back and then just share anything that may have been present for you. It's just a wonderful way to reset, to renew, to re-energize and recharge yourself in the middle of the day. And I would love for you and your audience to participate. This is available on my website. You can find it on the homepage. Some of the other things you can do is I also teach yoga and meditation classes every morning. I'm offering 7 days for free. I have a monthly membership for folks who really want the extra accountability and to participate live, because sometimes the apps that we have, we don't hold ourselves accountable. So every morning I do facilitate that. And I'm offering for a week for folks to be able to participate. We do yoga first, and then we move into meditation, and it's just a total 45 minutes from 6:45 to 7:30. Monday through Friday, and then 8:30 and 9 o'clock on Saturdays. And I would love for you to check out the podcast. I think you'll find that on the link as well. It's really just interviewing other people who are living the width of their life, really identifying what is most important to them and filling their life with the richness and joys and pushing themselves maybe past their comfort zone. So those are some of the things that are available on the website as well.
Awesome. Well, Aneta, it's been really wonderful chatting with you. We shared a lot of great tips for folks today to be able to really debunk the myth about balance and really how you can get some flow, if you will. You can achieve that by just doing some simple things, breath work, the gratitude, understanding, also having the permission to dream and to be able to find what it is that is important to you, that purpose that will drive you. So many great things. And as always, I remind everyone that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Nettling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nettling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.